The project we're running at Cambusbarron Primary School is a peer tutoring programme for numeracy. After the initial sessions that we had for the Raising Attainment Champions, where we spoke about interventions that are positive for closing the learning gap, I came back to school to identify what was the need in our school. So we looked at the free school meals, pupils who receive free school meals, to identify the pupils who would require support, and then spoke to class teachers to see where the gaps in learning were. From that, using the teacher's judgment and summative assessments such as the PIP scores, we identified that it was predominantly numeracy. There were gaps in numeracy, specifically number structure, ordering numbers, and number formation. As a result, we had a very small group of pupils to focus on. That's how we identified our P1 and P2 pupils. Then we were looking at who we wanted our tutors to be, and I have a primary 7 class this year, and we looked at their INCA scores, and we identified there was a cohort of children who had a very low attitude towards numeracy and maths and low confidence, and it reflected in their score because their score wasn't what we had anticipated for them. So we thought that the project would be a great way of improving numeracy for the younger pupils and raising confidence and attitudes towards numeracy for the older pupils. As the research shows that it's very successful, it can have a huge impact if it's delivered in an appropriate way. The other elements of interventions that we were interested in was the metacognition as well, and we thought we could incorporate that into the peer tutoring for the tutors and for the pupils as well. When we looked at peer tutoring, we were really keen to make it different from just two pupils playing maths games together. We wanted to make it purposeful and engaging. So there are a few key features to our peer tutoring. One of them was building a really strong relationship between our tutors and tutees. We spent a long time establishing a relationship, and it has paid off in the long term. We have a few pupils who really struggle to focus and persevere with tasks, and it can be difficult to manage in a very small group. So building that relationship has enabled us to push their focus a bit further. The second key feature to our intervention was ensuring structured tasks. So it's been really lovely actually, because initially I was establishing a task, so we focused on ordering numbers first, and I gave the tutors activities to do, and they would come back and say, this activity works but this doesn't work quite so well, so we changed it and now it works, and it's lovely. And even today when we were talking about, well, what activities are you doing today, they're like, oh, we made up this new one and it's this, this and this, and I was like, and what's the learning in that? And they're like, oh, we're doing this, we're making 10. And it was incredible because now my tutors are able to lead the learning of their peer more, and it's lovely, it's really lovely. The third key feature is teacher intervention, which has been one of the most difficult things to manage as the teacher. Having regular meetings with my peer tutors has made the project richer. I notice if there's a change in a week, which there always is, where I don't have my time at a regular time to speak to them, they come to me and say, I'd really like to talk about this. What do we do here? So to ensure that they're making progress, it's really important to have teacher intervention. Our next steps in the project are to involve parents more actively in the whole project. At the beginning, making them aware why their child's involved and what they can do at home to support. I think the impact for the primary 1 pupils has been really significant. We can see from evidence there's been an improvement in their attainment across all stages of the focus, so in number structure, in ordering numbers, and in formation of numbers. We're currently still working on the number of structure to support addition and subtraction, and from that I can see that I need to adjust our assessment methods because we are not quite hitting what we need to be hitting for those children. But the peer tutors are able to speak about that, and I'm able to see that, so that's our next step within that. Another element for the primary ones has been their increased focus in class. A number of times their class teacher have come to say, as a result of working with their tutor in the mornings, they come into class ready to learn. They're settled. A lot of the activities we do in the morning are quite physical, so for some pupils who need to get out a little bit extra energy, it really suits them to come in and they're ready to learn. For our primary 7 pupils, there has been a significant improvement in their attitude. At the beginning of the year, their INCAS scores showed that they had a low confidence and low attitude towards numeracy, and their mental maths scores reflected that as well. They were lower than anticipated. And just very recently, one particular pupil who stands out in Numeracy Ninjas is a program we run for mental math skills, and it's timed, which is what she identified as something that really pressures her and makes her lose confidence. So a timed situation, she got black belt, which is 30 out of 30, which is incredible, and she's very proud of herself. And she's just passed second level with flying colours as well. And she speaks about how confident she feels about numeracy and says that this project contributes to that, which is really nice.
I see that in lots of ways. Having peer mentors has been lovely, because actually this morning I had a discussion with the children about the impact it had on them, and they were talking quite freely about how they were developing learning in the younger children and how that had an impact on them. So next year with my PEF money, I hope to develop literacy in a similar way and using peer mentors to develop literacy skills and reading. But again, the big lesson from Jess has been to gather evidence and analyse the data right through the project, not just gathering data at the beginning, but all through, to see what interventions have had the biggest impact.